Well, hey there, and good morning. As I fight a little bit of green screen madness behind me, let me see if I can get this to auto-correct here pretty soon. Well, gosh, if you're joining me for the full series, you started in last week. Last week, we covered resume, LinkedIn, interviewing. All of those are available, by the way. Easiest is over on my Self-Recruiter YouTube site, but you can watch over on my Facebook as well, and also on my LinkedIn pages. Well, this week we have another great series of lectures for you. So if you haven't joined in yet, watch the ones that have already passed and join in for the next ones. Today, we are going to do career evolution. This is really part 2 to my LinkedIn lecture. So once you have a great LinkedIn lecture, now what? What comes next? Well, we'll cover all of that today. It's really how to build and manage a social media marketing campaign just for yourself to elevate your brand. Of course, tomorrow we will talk about how to supercharge your job search to get very different results. And we're going to end on Thursday this week at 10 a.m. with a very special paradigm shift in job search, marketing yourself directly to the decision maker. Big difference in outcome. Well, let's jump ahead here today. This is Career Evolution with LinkedIn and social media marketing. Now, we're talking about LinkedIn today, but really this applies to all the different platforms you might use. So you have to take this logic and really apply it across the spectrum. A subtitle might be, now that I have a great LinkedIn profile, what am I supposed to do with it? You know, everybody says, got to be on LinkedIn, got to be on LinkedIn. Sure, absolutely, we should. Let's see what we can do here. And then suddenly, oh, look, I can get that to go away with a little bit of camera angle shift. Sorry about that. I'm going to stare at that, bugging me all day. So there's a lot that we can do once we have a great LinkedIn profile, but a great LinkedIn profile by itself is like a wonderful sales brochure sitting in the rack with nobody touching it. How you take control of your career story is all part of how you build the social media marketing campaign around that. Now, if you haven't seen me before, John Crant, author, career coach, and speaker, resume and LinkedIn guru as well. So if you are suffering, as most are, from very poor storytelling in your career that creates the career branding, which upon everything is based, all future opportunities, everything, well, then work with someone that can help you. All my services are on the Self-Recruiter website, right under the services tab. And if you need to know or need to talk before you know which package may be right for you, send me a quick email and we will set up a time to talk. More about my background coming up. A few other things that will help you. Check out my LinkedIn profile for a few of the articles that will help piggyback on all the lectures that I'm presenting. And let's start off here with this today. I'm going to disappear for just a minute. I'll be right back. I'm John Crant, author, career coach, and speaker. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about using LinkedIn and getting the best out of social media marketing. Your business is built on perception. Perception of the products or the services or of your reputation. Business today is judged by web presence, not just a business's website. In our traditional work life, we didn't hesitate to network with the right people when an opportunity arose. That chance to meet the right people that could help our career. But as a small business owner, sometimes it's all you. It becomes easy for us to prioritize networking away. Oh, not today. Until it's never on today's list. We have so many other hats to wear if we are to reach our dreams. And those other hats are certainly more important. It's important for every small business person to network, to open doors that you may not have even imagined yet. You need to be reaching and communicating with current and potentially new customers or clients. You need to be out there contributing to the discussion about you. And with focus, it takes much less time than you really think to be effective. But you do have to take control. You have to develop your LinkedIn profile into a 3-dimensional sales brochure, all about you, that naturally drives the reader to a singular conclusion. If I work with, hire, or buy from this person, it's the best business decision I'll make today. Then make use of social media marketing tools built into LinkedIn to be sowing your value across the network in updates, and postings, and other shares that influence the perception of you. Well, there's much more to share as we're just getting started. Now imagine that you have this great communication platform. By the way, that's your great LinkedIn profile that positions both you and your business professionally and effectively. And think about the effects of using and implementing a sharing on a schedule or editorial calendar to simplify your messaging. That's a powerful voice to be heard that affects perception. What would you want others to be thinking of when they are thinking of you? That's the important question. Well, hopefully you didn't get distracted by your business. You know, that's a video I put together a few years ago for Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. But if you just replace the words your business, your brand, everything else with your career brand, because you have a career brand to manage forevermore. In case you didn't realize it, we don't live in a world where, oh, you're going to go out and get one more job. Well, yes, you're going to go out and get one more job, and after that, one more job, and after that, one more job. That's the world we live in today. So the sooner you begin to control your career branding, a different level of opportunity, a different level of future opens up for you. This is part of becoming a self-recruiter, how we're going to take control of our career brand and network in a very different way, which is primarily the use of LinkedIn, as you see here. But of course, it always requires also us keeping one eye on the toughest competitor imaginable, those 4, 5, 6 people that would scare you out of applying for that job. Well, even in today's lecture, more than any other, with your social media use, you can outmaneuver those seemingly perfect people very, very easily, because those seemingly perfect people suffer from something called ego and arrogance. And that leads them to a world where they don't actually prepare. They splash the water on their face, they put their clothes on, but you know what? That's getting dressed. We all have to do that. That is not preparation. So you can outmaneuver them very, very quickly. And we're going to show you how to do that. We're going to freshen up our career story. Well, first off, go back and fix your resume, fix your LinkedIn profile. If you have not, go back and see the resume renovation lecture and the building your career brand with LinkedIn lecture to really transform what you do on the resume over to a more complete, full 3-dimensional sales brochure on your LinkedIn side. And then what we're going to do is add on the effective layer of a social media marketing campaign. This is a self-marketing campaign that helps brand our career, helps market our brilliance, shine the spotlight on why we're different than everybody else. It is part of how we take control of the discussion. What are people saying? It's how we create engagement, which is always a lot closer to this style of engagement than the other. Now, we are talking about LinkedIn today, but you have to apply what I'm saying across all of these platforms you might be using. I'm a believer that even though we may be doing amazing dynamic things in our career, we still probably have time, if we do it effectively, to manage 2 or 3 social platforms for our work life. That certainly must include LinkedIn if you like to work anytime in the future. I'm a big believer it likely has to include Twitter. Almost lose my lunch every time I say that one. But really, there's a brilliance I'll teach you today where you can simply give LinkedIn your Twitter credentials. They will never post unless you hit that post button. They don't post just automatically. They only post when you tell them to post. But that way you can seamlessly allow all of this marketing campaign you put together for yourself on LinkedIn also flow to a secondary platform, Twitter, that you never actually have to visit yourself, which can be searched very, very quickly by decision makers. Decision makers that some of which no longer even post the job. Why would I post the job When I can go to Twitter, I can put in 4, 5, or 6 words, any level, any industry, any position, doesn't matter. Give me a few minutes to think about it. 4, 5, or 6 words I can go search on Twitter to find the best of the best. Oh, not the capable, qualified. Ooh, it's like cat hair in your mouth. Dime a dozen, dime a dozen. I'm looking for the exceptional. How can I do that in 4, 5, or 6 words? Well, you're going to have to give yourself permission to be a little bit of a Sherlock Holmes. Think backward like a detective. I mean, what John is saying isn't really possible, but if it were, how would I do it? How would I align the sun, the moon, the stars working backward to suddenly see the pathway? Well, I'll show you all of that today. And then you have to apply it to what other platforms you also might be using for your career, which could be all of these. So what I'm suggesting is not getting lost in social media. I recommend about 2 minutes per day. That's about really all I spend on social media, is about 2 minutes per day. It's a few strategic surgical updates that affect perception. Now, if you're still struggling with social media and getting that framework in our head, here's something I grabbed off of Facebook a few years ago. Certainly did not invent this one. And this is social media explained in terms of donuts. So, and even in this explanation, you're going to realize how quickly social media goes out of date. So Twitter, I'm eating a donut. Facebook, I like donuts. Well, it's not really how it's used anymore. Foursquare, I don't know who's using Foursquare anymore. They tried to split their business and they lost their business. Instagram, here's a picture of my vintage donut. Well, no one's really putting the vintage stuff on Instagram too much anymore. A little bit, but not too much. YouTube, here I am actually eating a donut. LinkedIn, of course, my skills include donut eating. And Pinterest, well, here's a donut recipe. Yeah, few may be still using it that way. I find lots of other things on Pinterest, including collections of resumes, all sorts of things. So now that we get a little bit of social media, it's really about influence. Information is the new currency. I talk about this all the time on the LinkedIn lecture. The more access to information that you have, the more likely you are to be able to leverage to your benefit. But in this case today, what we're talking about is not what I speak so at length about in the LinkedIn lecture, extracting information from social media. This is about seeding information to social media. That's the influence piece. So why do we do it? Why should we do it? Well, it's where the people are. It's where the connections are. If you can get them talking about you, it's like starting a wildfire that benefits you somehow. Look at that second from the bottom there. Proper use of social media, about 2 minutes a day, in my view. Proper use of social media for our career. Over time, it makes it feel like all these people that you know or you've crossed paths with in your career, it's so easy for them to stay on the top of the mind, seemingly with almost no contact. So that's a huge, huge advantage to do this. Now, if we're using multiple platforms, which I certainly encourage you to do very succinctly, expeditiously, surgically in our use, you're going to have to decide how should those profiles themselves look. They can't be cookie cutter identical. It doesn't make sense. Each platform is a little bit different in its usage and everything else. But the story has to work together harmoniously. Otherwise, it's not really going to work for you. So as you look at every platform, you're going to have to ask, well, is it just because I like it, or are my target markets here? Why is it I'm using this platform? And what are my specific goals that I'd like to accomplish by using this platform? If you don't start with that, how are you going to get to the result that you'd like? We're this product, whether we like it or not. But today's world and our time through the pandemic, everything else has certainly taught us this. We're a product. We have to be positioned, sold, marketed, negotiate shelf space so we're visible, all of that. So you're going to have to think about, as this product, why are you the best product? Why are you better? Why are you a standout in your field, or why would you be a standout in your field if you want to change directions? Let's give a dose of reality here. 8, 10, 12, 15 years, whatever it might be in the same role. That does not make you an expert. It actually probably makes you a problem because what did you learn? To do everything one way? The only way you become a true expert, no matter what our field is by moving around and having different experiences, experiencing different approaches. So this person that has 8, 10, 12, 15 years in the same role should have a gigantic red flag on their background. By the way, if that's your background and that sends you into a shock, there are ways to mitigate that reaction. Work with someone that's very good at crafting and balancing your career branding. And I know someone who you can work with. You're going to have to be this content guru of you, become the expert at what you could talk about, what you could share, because we can either reframe or reclaim what we'd like to. We reframe our story or reclaim things that we didn't really get from the past by simply going back and sharing just the right content. Content is king. And in today's world, content is visual. So it has to be visual. And when we brand our career, we have to think of every element from the profiles themselves and how they dazzle and welcome. And you're going to see the dreaded Twitter in just a moment. There it is. There it is. Works in harmony with the other one. Now the profile shot's the same. Sure. But the banner's different, even though it works in harmony. And then what I do is I connect this to my LinkedIn. And then every single time I do a post on LinkedIn, I let this seamlessly flow out to the Ethernet on Twitter, where it becomes made to order advertising. Now, to me, you may get a little distracted because John is in every one of these pictures. That's because John's a public speaker. Do I expect you to be in every one of your pictures? Not really, unless you're leading a business unit, giving talks to your organization, those types of things. It'd be nice if you were in a few of them, but really it's about what you are reading, doing, attending, saying, getting involved in, what's drawing your attention. And all of that together creates how people think of you. So you're going to have to go back to that core idea of your brand that I talked about, understanding why you either are or will be the standout in your field, and think about just what it is you'd like to do. As we move into this post-pandemic world, that I still have a hard time saying post-pandemic, I feel like we're still in it, but I see the masks and everything, to the wind. I get it. I don't like that thing either. But in this new era, one thing that's happened is the need for adaptability, the need to see every role as adjustable, adaptable, with new ideas. And how are you going to be that way? And how are you going to convey that you're that person at your essence? Very likely have to go back and reframe, retell your career story. So make sure you do the work in resume renovation and do the work in building your career brand on LinkedIn. And now let's put together a marketing campaign for you. Now, in thinking about a marketing campaign for you, you have to come up with the idea, well, what's the perception? How would I like them to see me? Well, passionate, driven, responsible, all of these things here. Of course, the future of their company. If they're not seeing you as the potential future of their company, they're not going to get excited. They're not going to jump out of their chair. Talked about this in all of the lectures last week, and I'm going to talk about it again now. Huge mistake people make is trying to be cookie cutter perfect. I'll solve it by being cookie cutter perfect. I'll just be so perfect. I'm interchangeable. That's great. I'll take number two. I'm going to take you. I'm going to pay less. No, you don't want less. Okay. Number one, number five, doesn't matter to John. You're all interchangeable. There's the problem with being cookie cutter perfect. Now, don't mishear that. You need to achieve being seen as cookie cutter perfect, but also being exceptional, different, stepping out of line somehow. And that only comes from really thinking about your brand, thinking about the messaging, thinking about the qualities, what makes you tick, what passions you have, what do you love to do? And then you have to bring some of that into your shares, into your communication. We're going to hit a chessboard essentially with some strategic sharing that can really do wonders for our career. You don't have to have everything in live conversation. This effect of sharing over time has a tremendous, tremendous effect. Now, to motivate you on how quickly that change can happen for you, I have a very close friend who's also a long-term client, reinvented their background several times over the last decade, helped them move from GTE into networking, which became Genuity, into level 3 communications, Liberty Media, Nokia Siemens Networks, Cisco Systems, Motorola Solutions. I think you get the idea here. Well, a few years back at Nokia Siemens Networks, they were desperately trying to get to the director level. I got to get to the director level. If it doesn't happen soon, it's not going to happen for me. They were about my age, whatever that might be. Well, you can tune into my other lectures to find out. They're about my age, and somewhere in their mind, that meant their timer was running out. Well, gosh, my dad lived to 91, and he didn't really exercise. He did work hard, didn't really exercise. And gosh, I do 8 to 10 miles per day every single day. That's my average. So I'm in a different place physically, and gosh, I got a lot of years left to pay. So I don't really think of an end date of when does it all come to an end. First off, find what you love to do, and it never comes to an end. So in this person's case, they came in second place twice. Second place. I think you know how that feels. Oh, I lost. Okay, so I had to remind them first off, do you understand what second place is? A winner. You don't come in first, second, or third unless you are a winner, baby. They just didn't select you for some reason. What you have to solve is, oh, why didn't they select me? Because I'm a winner, baby, or I wouldn't be in that group. That's a lot easier to solve. So in my friend's case, he's doing technical program management, like $250 million technical rollouts for big companies, and tremendously great with the customer, which is why he's missed countless rounds of layoffs at all those organizations you've heard of. Countless rounds. They're in an endless meat grinder, spitting out, reorganizing all the time. And he's missed all those because of his value with the client. But who's beating him to get to this director level? Well, you have to understand my friend, Fred, who came up on the sales side, a very good talker, which is also why he's so good with clients and why the clients love him in return. Well, he was there on the sales side before moving into technical program management. Well, who's beating him? The folks that were on the technical side before they moved into technical program management. There was no doubt they're far more technical. And we're talking about how to solve this perception issue. And my friend goes, well, I'm getting ready for this internal conference down in the Carolinas. I was getting some help from my coworker on PowerPoint. I'm like, what? You have a problem being perceived as technical? And you were getting help from a coworker on PowerPoint? There is no simpler piece of software on this earth than PowerPoint. Oh, I know. An 8-year-old child can run that thing, but their brains are wired differently. Well, we're going to have to work a little harder as we mature to keep ourselves up to speed and valuable. And so in this particular case, I'm like, well, we have to change this perception. I said, why don't we come up with this social media share campaign for you, which we did just as I'll describe to you today. And I said, why don't you share things like I recommend, which is 4, 5, or 6 times per day, 2 total minutes out of the whole day, copy, paste, share. And it didn't disrupt my day because I did my homework in advance, which we're going to teach you today. And suddenly, what is my friend sharing? All these articles on technical program management, engaging the customer, success with the customer, all this kind of stuff he should be sharing so they can look over his shoulder and be dazzled. And then he's doing technical trainings, running down to one of the centers to do some technical trainings. Those aren't usually things you share, but he's sharing that stuff. And suddenly it's not 60 days later going from second choice, clear choice for the role into a role he'd never held before, head of process and quality. And he did very, very well. And he moved on to his next gig afterward. That was 60 days to change a habit that he'd also verbally supported, because when he was talking to me about that PowerPoint, he ventured into a verbal tick that he has, which is, I'm not technical. I was getting help from my coworker on PowerPoint. I'm like, how many times did you tell your coworkers you're not technical? You know what they think of Fred? Oh, he's not technical. Said that himself. So first off, kitchen shears and that tongue, we got to think about not saying those things, bite down hard, break ourselves to that habit, and then just start sharing all the right stuff across the right platforms. Now let's get into some detail now that you have a motivational story that really is true, that can produce a very different outcome. We have to get the credit where credit is due. That's part of our share process. So we have to think about, well, what do I talk about? Projects I worked on, or projects I initiate, projects I develop. Absolutely. We're splitting hairs to get the exact amount of credit we deserve, not 1 ounce more, but every ounce I deserve. Results of the project or level of accomplishment. But quite often and most frequently, it's going to be your educational development or books or white papers or articles, things going on with the competitors, all of this becoming the information being the new currency, and you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on in your field. Oh, they just get it. Yes, I do, because I'm reading and absorbing everything. And the idea here, besides conveying adaptability that'll get you hired, is to let this seamlessly flow across the networks. So when I share, by the way, you have a 3-level network on LinkedIn. If that wasn't clear, you can watch my LinkedIn lecture for the rest of that detail. When I share, I'm not really sending it to anybody. You could send to contacts, which I'd never do. That's a once a year, once every 2 years event, like life-changing event. I hit my contacts all at once. Short of that, you burn out your contacts very quickly. You just share with the Ethernet, just share it out to gosh knows where, and you let the algorithms decide where it goes. It's going to land on the appropriate desktops within 3 levels of network that would generally have an interest in you. That's how those algorithms work. Have a little faith in them, trust them. Of course, if we're going to manage this correctly, we have to think about our brand management, all the things we brought to focus in resume renovation and building the career brand with LinkedIn, but now we're going to elevate the marketing end of it, and you're going to become the voice. And this means you have to know yourself, you have to be authentic, you have to have integrity, you have to be genuine, which is usually where I interject the fact that I'm actually very shy and introverted, and yet this is what I do, including when I do it in front of public audiences. And well, I'm an expert. I love what I do. It doesn't change the fact that I'm also shy and introverted. Obviously, I've gotten past that professionally, but it's just under the surface. Does that mean I'm not being authentic or don't have integrity or not being genuine right now? No. In fact, this is another aspect of John, because we're all 3-dimensional human beings, and you have to understand that even about yourself. Perception is reality. Let's change perception by changing reality just a little bit. And suddenly everything shifts from second place, clear choice for the role. Let's drill down and teach you how to build an actual plan. So this is the homework piece. Nope, you're not meant to do it during the lecture, but afterward you sit down and do this about 2 hours of homework. This 2 hours of homework can cover you for the next 6 to 8 weeks, where you just spend 2 minutes per day. So how are we going to do it? We're going to build 25 to 30 content items ready to share right now, so that when I start this, I can go copy, paste, share, copy, paste, share, copy, paste, share very, very easily. Hold on one second. Just adding a little comment to the screen. Thank you, Valerie. Sorry, I have to interject to read this at the same time. Yes, LinkedIn and I'm talking about Valerie's comments on LinkedIn and Twitter integration. You know, they fight over revenue. So they talked more about it early, and then it became a little more difficult. And then they finally just agreed to let it happen between them, because it's tremendous information that really simplifies your work process in the whole thing. Now, most of what we're going to share for the average person is going to be a mix of articles, books, events. If I'm personally doing some of those, isn't that even more wonderful? I'm going to put all these things together in a text document. And I'm going to basically go out and find the book, article, event, which means I can, if it's a book, I can go to Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. If it's an event, I can go to Eventbrite or one of the many, many other event things out there. If it's an article, I pull whatever website that article was posted on. And now I have the article title or book or event, put it in quotes, so it's very easy to grab by the brain. I put a few words, that's 4, 5, or 6 words in an ideal word, in front of it of my opinion, because without your opinion, it doesn't stick to you. 4, 5, 6 words of your opinion, followed by the title in quotes, followed by a link, short, sweet marketing that's all about you, that doesn't just keep saying, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. No, demonstrate that you're the best. Now, if a few of these shares rise to a very special level, like, oh, I'd like to share that on the 14th. Okay, well, then you're going to have to maybe pull up an editorial calendar, and a few of them you tag for certain days. But most of them, what you do is you wake up in the morning and you grab your first cup of coffee, if we're doing that, and you go, oh, copy, paste, share. What did that take? 15 seconds at most. Mid-morning second coffee, copy, paste, share. Lunchtime, copy, paste, share. Mid-afternoon coffee hound, copy, paste, share. End of the day, copy, paste, share. 4, 5, 6 times a day. You do it like breathing without thought. It's all done in advance. There's no thought to it. It's advertising. We don't think about advertising. We simply put the promo together, put the campaign together, and we launch it. So back to all of these things, all the different ways you might talk about yourself, or you might add your comments in. Let's take the concept, as I mentioned earlier, that you might like to be seen as the best of the best in what you do. If you were the best of the best in what you do, you certainly would have shared a best practices technical white paper which you can simply Google, best practices technical white paper. By the way, you don't have to write one of those. There's a million of them for your field out there. You just go find one, good, bad, or ugly, doesn't even matter, that talks about your field, and then you share it with your opinion. Maybe as simple as, what a great take, there's my opinion, on best practices for exactly what I do, with a link. Not sure I agree with best practices for exactly what I do with a link. Couldn't disagree more with best practices for exactly what I do with a link. So your opinion on it really does matter. The level of what they wrote is irrelevant. You simply need the right topic to hook. Your opinion is really what it's all about. And then you let this seamlessly flow across various media. Now, let's go back to the idea of building this share plan. We have to think like a storyteller. We have to, your job really is to set the stage, set the lighting, set the atmosphere in the few words of things that you say. Get them to want to look at stuff. So put them in your shoes, have them looking out of your eyes. And all of this is really to showcase something that's valuable, your assets. And yes, we're going to put on those rose-colored glasses, and there's never a disparaging or negative. It's always positive, positive, positive. And the tone is like you're speaking to a dear old close friend. It is very, very audience warming. This is the nuance of a share plan that becomes an advertising plan, which are the gentle figurative nudges that coax that attention right to you and to your profile. Let's share a few shares that you can see. Now, I'm going to be in a lot of these. I'm a public speaker, so all of that is very, very important. I want you to think about what is in these shares here. And sure, on the left here, there's a first year I was up at Rainbow Push Wall Street Project, up on stage with Reverend Jesse Jackson, pinching myself, going, how did I get here? How did I get here? Learn to open doors. Over on the top right, same kind of thing. I was invited to Social Media Week at the Google headquarters by a radio show host. Oh, you going to the keynote on Friday? Going to the keynote? Absolutely. What time is it? 8 a.m. I'm like, oh, fantastic. That was in February of that year. February is my busiest month of the year. I struggle to find sleep. So, but of course, a radio show host wants to meet me at the Google keynote. Of course I'm going. Then the radio show host did not show up. That was another day where I had about 4 hours sleep. And yet, boy, did it resonate when I heard that keynote, them talking about the real world is insufficient. Ding, 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 like the Liberty Bell. If you do not exist professionally in the virtual world, you don't exist. So, boy, wasn't that an eye-opener. Now, a few not so happy shares about articles that are downers, but they're exactly right for what I do. There's a few more shares to influence you. Up at WHCR Voice of Harlem Radio, so I shared that. Up doing something that has nothing to do really with what I do professionally. Up on the top right, took a day off to go volunteer for the library. Of course, what I do for the library all the time is volunteering. But I took a day off to really, really volunteer, to go up and talk to all Albany lawmakers about funding for the library. Let's be extra clear. I don't get funding from the library. This is volunteer work to go get public funding for the safety net. So I shared that and shared a little thing. It affects perception. Got highlighted in AM New York. So I shared that. Broke the regularly scheduled lecture attendance record at the library. Oh, I'm very competitive, no matter how shy and introverted. I want to win. I want to be the best. A few more highlights, everything else. You begin to see what happens. Got a call. I thought I was being punked, going, you're in Essence Magazine this month. I'm like, who is this? Who is this? But I should go look. What if I am? What if I am? I had been standing outside the public library after one of my lectures. Normally when I give them in person, I'm out in front afterward, answering any and all questions until they're all done. And this one gal says to me, oh, I'm blogging about my job search for Essence Magazine. I'm like, oh my gosh, you should have my book. I can connect the dots very quickly. And I trusted it would find its way somewhere, which it did within a month or two. Suddenly it's right there. And if we open this up, I had a hard time finding it because, of course, magazine stores had already started disappearing by that time. And then Barack being on the cover, it was a hard one to find. But my gosh, in fact, there's the gal, the shorter gal right there. There's the gal that actually got me into the magazine, blogging about her job search. And there is my book on the reading list. Of course, she was talking to some other career coach in the picture, ignore that. But my book's on the reading list. Learn to open doors. Life is not transactional. You have to open as many doors as possible so opportunity can get to you. And from that, I've met TV producer that has a lot of great connections. And my gosh, that's another set of doors being opened. Think about what doors you could open with just a tiny bit of self-promotion. Now, I know how distasteful that is. I grew up Catholic, modesty and humility. And my father was a Catholic deacon, so it doesn't get more Catholic than that. So I really get the modesty, humility thing, and I've had to get past it, giving myself permission. Great for all other areas of our life, but not job search, not career. These two, I have to give myself permission to set that aside and just embody and own what you bring to the table. This is about influence. And if you don't believe it, no one else will. So we're going to have to drink enough of that Kool-Aid so you believe it as well. And I hope it's very, very true. Here's a few more posts that I shared. We were doing an event at Morgan Stanley, so we posted that group shot. Doing an event at Grace Institute, wonderful organization in the city here that provides a lot of services. Doing my online boot camp a few years ago. Oh, saw my dad in that pose so many times as the Catholic deacon. He would have loved that shot. Up at WHCR, Voice of Harlem Radio, but I didn't make it into it, but my book did, my coffee did. You begin to think about all these different things and even long form articles you can post over on the LinkedIn side. But most of it is really going to be these short little shares. Just finished a great project on something that is sellable or something that showcases a certain skill, or maybe you've been selected to lead new initiatives in digital content development. Ooh, valuable skill. Or member of a divisional cost containment and reduction committee. Okay, well, you're not going to be very popular, but a very needed skill. Maybe you're reading Social Media Marketing, An Hour a Day by Dave Evans. What a great book. Not many books I recommend. I do recommend that one. Developing a new project on skills, things that will be promotion material for you, things that show your depth, why you over another person. Maybe you're attending a series on social media marketing. You don't have to say it's about job search. All things that could elevate your individual brand. All of these are those gentle figurative nudges, the small changes that change perception that really put you on a different level. Now, sharing accolades can get the spotlight to shine on you. Congratulations, Dave. I see you are reading Social Media Marketing, An Hour a Day by Dave Evans. What a great book. Really got me up to speed. Sure did. Sure did. So think about your messaging. Think about how some of that sunlight can reflect back as moonlight hitting your face. Be seen as a leader by being a leader. Now, I work for myself now, but I have certainly worked for many other people over the course of my career and done a number of very, very, very different things. You should see my Charting Your Career Transition background if you'd like to see my full background, which is that's all one person. That's all one person. But if you'd like to be seen as a leader, just be a leader. I've never allowed myself, when working for someone else, to be limited by some ridiculous 8.5 by 11 sheet of job description. That's a starter idea for what you'd like me to do. You hired me for my brain power and skill. So I'm sorry, I don't stay within the lines. I cross those lines. Is there something that needs to be done? Is there something that needs to be solved? Is there something that needs to be reinvented? What are you waiting for? Permission? You're not a leader if you're waiting for permission. Whatever it may be that needs to be redone or rethought or needs to be proposed, get in the game. Things will change for you quickly. You know, there was one point earlier in my career where I was getting promoted every 4 to 5 months. So much so I was having chest pains. I'm like, and yet it's so expensive here in New York City. Every time I was like, oh, a little more money, a little more money. I need that money. But I'm like, oh my gosh, am I fooling them? Of course not. But my personal motto is, if at all possible, it's always yes. Do you think you can take this project? Absolutely. Take it on my plate, onto my plate, onto my plate, till that plate is so full. They're like, oh, how will John handle all this? Look at what he's producing. And then they give you new things. Everything about you becomes part of your brand management, including your signature block. You open up a new email to send someone an email. Is it blank? You don't have a signature block. Your signature block can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Now, mine's a little bit of a ridiculously long email signature. First time I wrote this, I thought, What would my mother say? Wow, looks like you made it, John. I know how emotionally difficult it is to write something like this. Oh my gosh, his ego, his arrogance must be out of control. We'll keep those things in check. Own what you bring to the table and give yourself that kind of permission. But your signature block could even be much simpler. But at a minimum, it should contain your sales brochure, your LinkedIn profile, so that every single person, personal or business that ever receives an email from you has your traveling sales brochure about why you're so dazzling. Hopefully a few words about you as well would be nice, not just your title, but what's your focus? Why are you valuable? What is so different about you? These are all the ways that you want them to see you. You get them to see you this way through this social media campaign. So I encourage you to really do the homework, put all the effort into it, build out the great marketing campaign, begin to share 4, 5, 6 times per day like breathing, and realize the value that will be coming back your way very, very quickly. Wherever you are in this process of building and managing your career brand, take your first step, whether that's resume or LinkedIn or the social media aspects of LinkedIn as the third step, or even how to supercharge your job search tomorrow. Of course, interview intervention from last Friday. Lots of great lectures to help you. Check out my Self-Recruiter YouTube channel, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, wherever you're joining me here today. I hope you like, comment, share, message. Those things are really, really valuable. They'll also help other individuals, and certainly helps me since I'm providing these to you. Career Evolution with LinkedIn and social media marketing. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., I'll be here, same time, with supercharging your job search, all the ways to kick your job search into high gear so that you really get the choice that you'd like. Check out the entire schedule over on selfrecruiter.com. And if you need some help, check out my services under the services tab on Self-Recruiter. And if you need to talk before you know which package may be right for you, send me a quick email. We'll set up a time to talk. Thank you guys for joining in, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.